Let's see. So we had a couple questions in the chat here. Connor wants the Getzlaff of last playoffs. So that'd be great. Can we get the Perry of last playoffs as well, and have a lot of other guys step up? That would be great.
Yeah, I think that you're going to see the Getzlaff of last playoffs. I really do. I mean, he knows what he's up against with the Sharks. They don't have. I'm not trying to burn. I shouldn't have said that. I'm not trying to put down Brent Burns. I'm trying to burn Burns. But I feel like PK Subban's a better defensive defenseman, and that's who shut Ryan Getzlaff off when the Ducks played Nashville. Mm-hmm. I feel like you're going to see the same Getzlaff, Perry, Raquel that we've seen and come to expect. It's really going to be that depth scoring we got to worry about. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, so we have some questions about possible second round. So obviously looking past and assuming the Ducks win this first round matchup. Duck Nation asked on Twitter last night, do you think the Ducks go to the second round? And he asked, do they get home ice, or do they only get home ice if they play the Kings? I'll answer that second part first, and then we'll get into the first question. So the Ducks will get home ice if they play the Kings in the second round. If Vegas beats LA, then the Ducks won't have home ice, and then from there on after, they won't have home ice if they play teams like Nashville, Winnipeg, any team that was above them in the standings. So that's how that works out. Gordon Bombay had a similar question in the chat as well. He says, "What do you see? Will we see Vegas next round or LA?" So what do you think? Do you think Vegas gets by the Kings? I feel like that's kind of a favorable matchup in a sense for the Kings, based on maybe facing the Ducks or San Jose. Or do you think we face Vegas?
My buddy who went with me, he took me to the game on Friday. He really wanted this Vegas matchup. He said, I don't want to play the Sharks in the first round. I don't want to play the Ducks in the first round. Those are going to be awful, brutal series, and there's going to be probably injuries that I don't want to have happen on this team if we're going to make a cup run. And he really wants Vegas. I think Kings fans feel comfortable playing against Vegas, and I think it's a favorable matchup for the Kings. I do. I think the Kings probably have a chance to beat Vegas. I wouldn't have said that, because I know we've always talked about, Vegas, everyone's down on them right now, and they're not performing as well as they were earlier this season. But I think the Kings can do it. I think we might be seeing the Kings go to the second round.
See, I feel like people are still sleeping on Vegas. I mean, we heard this at the regular season and the midpoint of the regular season as well, where people are like, oh, Vegas, we're waiting for Vegas to fall off and miss the playoffs. We're waiting for them to start playing bad. And then they end up winning the Pacific Division and are one of the top 5 teams in the National Hockey League. And I feel like going into the playoffs, people are just wiping the slate clean, not really looking at what they did in the regular season and saying, yeah, we want that team. They don't have experience. They don't have this. They don't have that. I'd rather face this team. I don't want to have the bloodbath against Anaheim or San Jose. I don't know, man. I did not want to face Vegas at all in the first round. I did not want to have to go into T-Mobile Arena. That place is going to be crazy. They've been dominant there all season. They have a veteran goaltender with playoff experience in the lineup in Marc-Andre Fleury, a cup-winning goaltender. And that, I mean, that's, for me, I said this on the last show, that's all the experience you need is in net with Marc-Andre Fleury. And then you can figure things out as you go up front and everything like that. I feel like William Karlsson doesn't need any boost to his confidence. We saw what he did against the Sharks for his 42nd goal this season. I don't know. I think Vegas wins this series. I think the Kings are going to make it close, but I just think they're not going to be able to keep up. And we talked about the Ducks maybe not being able to keep up with Vegas. I think the Kings are in the same boat. And I think that we end up seeing Vegas in the second round if the Ducks win.
Wow. I mean, you don't feel like the Kings are going to be able to put on their little defensive clinics they do in the playoffs and take advantage of a team that's not as big as, or doesn't play as heavy as a Sharks team or a Ducks team?
I just don't think that wins you games necessarily in a 7-game series. I feel like that can win them a couple games, but I don't see it winning them the series. I really don't. I think they rely heavily, obviously, on Anze Kopitar and that line to get things going. Maybe the Vegas doesn't have anybody to shut that line down, and that could be a problem. But it's who wins that battle. Who wins that battle between the William Karlsson and Anze Kopitar line, and then does the secondary scoring come up? Is Jeff Carter and Tyler Toffoli and Tanner Pearson going to lead the way for LA, or is Vegas going to be able to get things going? I mean, Connor has in the chat, he says Vegas doesn't have a Kopitar or Doughty, so that's why he thinks that they're going to have struggling in this series. Well, I mean, they didn't have a Kopitar or Doughty for the entire regular season either. And they finished pretty high up in the standings. They finished above the Kings, above the Sharks, above the Ducks, above a lot of teams. And they don't have that superstar. They've got a lot of guys playing some good hockey right now, and I think it can continue.
They're going to need a game breaker, though. I mean, they really are. They don't have a Norris Trophy defenseman. And that's a great point, because come playoff time, I mean, it just gets tight. You know, you don't get the scoring chances that you get in the regular season. But, I mean, it really is going to come down to Quick versus Fleury. If you're going to break that apart and you're going to say that there's a lot of guys that are just churning on all cylinders in Vegas and they're going to get pumped up the way they were in the beginning of this year with the playoffs, now as they did when the regular season started and they were on fire, I would take Fleury over Quick. Everyone knows I don't like Quick. So maybe that's what's going to break there. I felt like if the Ducks were going to play Vegas, I was going to take Vegas in the series, honestly. I mean, I didn't want to. I would love to say, give the old cheap pick and be like, oh, it's going to go 7, could go either way. That way I don't have to be a jerk about being a Ducks fan and saying they're going to lose. But I'm glad the Ducks aren't playing Vegas, but I feel like the Kings could probably beat them. Yeah,
I definitely think they could beat them. I slept on Vegas in the beginning of the regular season, like everybody did. But even around the 25 game mark when they were playing really well, I was like, they're gonna tail off. They're not gonna make the playoffs. They're gonna be a bad team. They're gonna be a top 5 pick team. They're just playing some good hockey right now, and they've really proved me wrong all the way through the entire regular season. And I'm just hard pressed to really go against them again and say they're not going to win. I've done it all season, and they proved me wrong. I feel like they can do that in the playoffs as well. And Derek says in the chat, I agree with him. He says when your whole team plays great, you can win by committee. You don't necessarily need a Kopitar and Doughty. And Vegas has shown that all season. Why not do that in the playoffs? I think games 1 and 2, though, are going to be huge. Vegas has to win both. I don't think you can split the series and try and head into LA and win that. I feel like confidence starts to waver, the nerves start to show up if you split one of those games, or of course if you lose both. So those first 2 games for Vegas are going to be huge and really set the tone for their playoffs.
No, you're right. So you're picking Ducks, I'm picking Ducks, and you're picking Vegas, I'm picking LA. I think the other part of me really wants to see the Ducks LA matchup. So
yeah,
maybe that's what swayed me.
But before we close out here, there are a couple other matchups that are solidified. I don't want to go in depth about them, but I want to know your picks, and I'll tell mine about what's going on. So we'll start with the West, because those are all settled. We've already got our picks for Anaheim, San Jose, Vegas, LA. Moving over to the Central, we've got Nashville and Colorado, who beat St. Louis in that crazy game last night where the winner gets into the playoffs. Who do you think takes this one, Nashville or Colorado? I feel like this is an easy answer, but we'll see.
I hate Nashville. Oh my God, I hate Nashville. And anybody who listens to my other podcast with the Puck Guys, don't judge me if I change my picks, because we're not diving into numbers yet. But if you're going to fire off this right off the bat, and you want to take what I say here,
just an on the surface pick. No, don't have to look into anything. Just who do you think is going to win based off what you already know?
God. Well, I mean, everything says take Nashville, but I'm going to take Colorado. I can't pick Nashville.
Yeah, and if you guys want to let us know who you think is going to win these series in the chat, let us know too, and we'll mention them on here. But you think Colorado is going to upset the Predators in the first round? President's
Nathan
Trophy
McKinnon.
winning.
Nathan McKinnon, man.
But we just talked about how Subban and Ekholm and committee shut down Ryan Getzlaf last year in the playoffs. So I get it. I feel like it's tough. And I feel like...
No, I would definitely take Nashville, man. I just don't want to say it. I hate that team so much. No, I got Nashville in 5. That's my pick.
I think Colorado has a chance. They're riding the momentum of just barely getting in, and then that crazy game against St. Louis. And Nathan McKinnon is a guy who's going to be up for the Hart Trophy. But if that line isn't going, there's not much else going for Colorado. And goaltending for them is just... It's so... awful, I guess you could say. It's Varlamov and Bernier. I mean, I don't trust that going into the playoffs. If they had somebody back there who I had a little bit of trust in, I'd say I would take them. I would give them the benefit of the doubt and say they're going to surprise some people and beat Nashville. But I can't say it. I feel like Nashville is just too good of a team. They've been that good of a team all season. They're strong in net with Rene, who's probably going to win the Vezina. They've got one of the best decoys in the league, and up front, they're just a very deep team. So I just don't see it happening. But it could be close. I could see a 6, like Chase said, a 5 or 6. I think Colorado can steal a game or two, but I think Nashville ends up winning that one.
Yeah, like I said, Nashville in 5.
This next one here, I really think is going to be a fun series to watch, and it's Winnipeg versus Minnesota.
You think it's going to be fun?
I just like watching the Jets.
I think this is going to be over in 4.
Yeah?
I think the Jets sweep Minnesota. I think it's one of the only. You know, it is. It's the only series that I'm going to pick a sweep here. If you're going to ask me on any of the 8 series, I got to go sweep with Winnipeg winning that one in 4. Winnipeg's too damn good.
Yeah.
And Minnesota, I mean, come on, they're not really that great at all.
No, I agree with you, and I think Ryan Suter and Jared Spurgeon being out, I mean, I do think Winnipeg's going to win it in 4. I just think it's going to be a fun series to watch. I just think those two teams playing at a high tempo is going to be fun hockey to watch, even if Winnipeg wins it in 4. I don't think they're going to be blowouts, but I do agree Winnipeg's too good of a team. And I think the Jets, even going on to the second round, have a good chance of beating Nashville as well. They're very similar teams in the way they match up. I just think the Jets up front have a lot more firepower than Nashville does when you look at Wheeler and Scheifele and Laine and Paul Stastny, Nick Ehlers, Kyle Connor. This is a team that I think in the Western Conference, I know Nashville and everybody's high on Nashville, but I think the Jets have the best chance of getting to the Stanley Cup Finals out of any of the teams in the Western Conference. Yeah, and I mean, I was high on them at the beginning of the season too, and I'm not gonna sit here and say I predicted anything, but I said at the beginning of the season that I think this is a team who can win the Central Division. They didn't get there, but they got close. And I was banking a lot on Connor Hellebuck having a bounce-back season, which he did. And they're an unbelievable team. I like them a lot better than I do Nashville. I think the only place where they kind of tail off is on defense. You've got Dustin Byfuglien, Tyler Myers, Josh Morrissey. It's not necessarily as flashy and as pretty as what Nashville can put up there, but I think they're the better team.
That's crazy. Like, I don't know, man. I feel like I was just going to say before you said the weakness on D for Winnipeg, I was going to say they're basically Nashville without the fancy defensive core, which is huge. That's a huge deal. I feel like Nashville would be able to take them out, and I'll get to those if they make it. But I would feel like Nashville would beat Winnipeg. That's my hunch.
You don't think the difference in offense for Winnipeg is going to sway the tide there? I mean, this is the second best offense in the National Hockey League throughout the regular season.
How good has Pekka Rinne been? You add that to behind the gigantic blanket of defense that Nashville's going to throw over anybody they play.
How good's Connor Hellebuck been, though? we could argue this all day. I don't want to dive into it too much, but that would probably be the best series of the playoffs if they ended up playing each other. I mean, that would just be a great series to watch. I mean, the couple times they played each other this year, I remember they were just great games. They were like 6-5 games. They were nuts. Teams were trading leads back and forth. So that would be one, if they end up playing each other, which they probably will, would be a crazy one to watch. Let's move over to the East. We'll have here Pittsburgh and Philadelphia, which is probably, in my opinion, the only two teams who can rival what the Ducks have with LA.
Man, I got to go with Pittsburgh. I got to take Pittsburgh in that one.
I'm going Philadelphia in 5.
In 5?
Yeah, I don't trust goaltending. I know it's hard to say, but I don't like what I've seen from Matt Murray. These are Matt Murray's numbers, by the way. A .907 save percentage and a 2.92 goals against average for the regular season through 49 games played. Not great, to say the least. And I don't like what they have on the back end that much either. Their momentum has kind of been sapped, I think, throughout the regular season. They've been on and off and winning and losing. So I just like what Philadelphia has. Their goaltending, I think, is on par at this point, unless Murray can get back to what we saw from him in the playoffs. But the Claude Giroux is 102 points this year. It has to be a guy who's in the consideration for the Hart. They've got a young lineup. They've got Voracek, Simmons. They've got all these guys who can hurt. Nolan Patrick, number 2 overall pick. And their blue line, I like it. I just like it a lot better. You've got Provorov, you've got Gostisbehere, you've got Hag, you've got Gudas. You've just got all these guys, I think young guys as well. I just like them. They're a better team. And I think Peter Mrazek can be just as good as Murray can be for Pittsburgh.
Man, you're sleeping on Malkin?
I am. I don't think the offense is going to be enough. I think their defense is just not that great, and if the goaltending isn't there, I think Philadelphia takes it in 5, maybe 6 if Pittsburgh, like I said, if Malkin and Crosby can win some of these games for them. But I just like what the Flyers have to offer.
189 points between Malkin, Crosby, and Kessel this year.
But that's it. I know that's a lot, but that's it for Pittsburgh's offense. Those
Hornquist
three.
49, Gensel 48, Rust even at 38,
but
Chris
those guys
Letang at 51.
Rust, Gensel, Hornquist all have played with Crosby a considerable amount of time this year.